Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome Christmas Eve, as they say in France. We only have 2 days left of the L Word Advent Calendar Christmas special. So please let me know down in the comment section, have you enjoyed it? Would you like to see it again? Would you like to see maybe some sort of something like this when it's Pride, or whenever we finally get an air date for Generation Q Season 2, maybe the month before it airs, I'll do something like this for that month. And if you comment down below and you like the video, why not become a subscriber, and then you can be entered into the draw to win an L Word goodie bag on Christmas Day. And also, if you're a subscriber, you'll be notified anytime I post a new video, including all the news that is coming out about Season 2 of Generation Q. Just before we get started, I did reveal in my live on Sunday that we will be doing some L Word merch on this channel. I'm going to release it on Christmas Eve night, UK time, so that's more like the late afternoon in the US. And to start off with, we're doing 2 shirts, an OG L Word shirt and a Generation Q shirt, and it's the cast list basically. So I hope everyone enjoy those, and also working on a possible third choice with one of my subscribers, Deb. She sent some really cool images for a Dana's shirt, so hopefully we'll get that in the new year. I know that I normally go live on Fridays, but this week I'm going to push that to Saturday. It is Boxing Day, so maybe everybody has plans or are quite busy. And as I'm saying that, I am also forgetting that where I live is one of the only places in the world that doesn't have COVID. So maybe you're at home and could use some L Word chatting. So I will be going live at my usual time, 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Eastern and 11 a.m. Pacific on Boxing Day. So love you guys to join. I'll do the invite early and share the link so that you can set it as a reminder just in case you forget what day it is in the whole, Christmas mess. So now we've got all the plugs out of the way, let's get down to business why you're all here. And just to say, tomorrow for Christmas Eve, I do have something funny, like raising our spirits a bit, to do for the video. And then on Christmas Day, I'm going to be dropping Season 5, Episode 6. So today, let's do Season 5, Episode 5, Looking at You, Kid. We continue our tradition, which I love in Season 5, of starting off with the cold open, and it's always a Les Girls themed cold open. So in this episode, we finally find out all of the actresses that are playing each of our beloved L Word characters, and this episode gets very, very meta. So I'll explain a bit more as we go down, but from just 2 seconds in, we can tell that Les Girls has kind of done exactly what the L Word did and has cast a lot of straight actresses to play queer and gay people. We also have some whitewashing going on with especially the character of Bette, and we will talk more about that when I talk about Bette at the end. But starting off with Jenny. Jenny's obviously throwing the party for Les Girls, and she also begins her relationship with Nikki Stevens in this episode. And it's just, Jenny has some great lines in the season. I think even though you kind of love to hate her, this is Jenny at her peak. And even when she's like bringing in Sounder and saying, oh, he's ready to be in the movie, the dog, and Tina's trying to gently explain that people train animals to do these things. They don't just pick random dogs off the street. And Jenny is just at full-blown Jenny in this episode and kind of was loving it. Kit has pretty much nothing to do in this episode, which is a very similar trend. I find this with Kit in most episodes. I guess I never really thought about it before I started reviewing, and sometimes I even hesitate to like include her on the list of main cast, but she is a main cast member and was for the entire 6 seasons. But her purpose just seems to be kind of to facilitate everybody else. Like, a lot of characters exposit to her and move things along that way. So I feel as though sometimes Kit, and especially seasons 1 and 2, Tina, even though I hate to say that, we don't really get to know much about Tina or like really a lot about Kit. I mean, we get little snippets, but like Tina doesn't have any family. Like, we didn't see Tina in any sort of working role the first few seasons. She was more just an extension of Bette and was playing that more stereotypical role that a woman gets. So sometimes I feel like Kit is just there to like help other characters, you know, either explain something to the audience or to be like a sounding board or give them, you know, some advice. So I wish they gave Kit a bit more to work with. And we do have her find out this episode that She Bar has started doing, you know, coffee and bagels and things. So we're seeing the beginnings of that feud. And as we know, that all magnificently culminates in the mob scene in Liquid Heat, the elevator episode. So I wish that Kit got a bit more storyline, and I just kind of always feel that way. Shane in this episode, she is party central, and she's, you know, making everyone the party brownies. I don't know whether I don't think I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, so let's just go with Shane's word. And then she also has her hookup with Cindy without Dawn, which, as we know, sets up for the rest of the season Dawn Denbo's major beef with Shane and the whole Planet gang. I think it was absolutely hilarious when Dawn Denbo goes into the party and like pulls out the music, and, you know, she's giving off to Shane and stuff. And, you know, Shane did try and do the right thing in the beginning, but Cindy did tell her it was okay, and obviously Cindy should maybe be a bit more truthful to Dawn, but maybe Dawn doesn't want to hear it. So we do get some fantastic scenes with Dawn Denbo being her villainy things over the course of the rest of the season, and that all kind of comes from this moment with Shane. And we do get the runner also of Cindy always being like, "Hi Shane," and then, you know, Dawn obviously has in for Kit for some reason. So we've definitely got the rest of the season to look forward to with Dawn Denbo. Max in this episode, I'm sure you guys know what I'm going to say. Max is treated extremely poorly, and if you haven't seen Disclosure on Netflix, go and watch it, because as I said in the last 4, 5, 6 reviews, probably maybe more, they explain it in Disclosure, the whole thing with Max, why it was so detrimental to have these scenes and characters that are beloved within the community speak transphobic things. So please go and watch Disclosure. They explain everything about Max, and they also have Amy Clayton, who plays Tess in Generation Q, and Leo Sheng, who plays Micah in Generation Q. They're both in Disclosure. Alice in this episode, some of the things really made me laugh, because obviously, you know, Alice's big storyline in this episode is that she, with a video on a Motorola Razr 2008, she outs this basketball player publicly, and it just, I think the basis for this was there was a basketball player who came out, and that's why they have Daryl Brewer saying, oh, some player had come out. I think they're referencing, it was he played in an American league, but he was a British basketball player. That I think he's British and he's gay. That's why I knew who he was, but I can't remember his name. So if anybody knows his name, drop it in the comments. But Daryl Brewer comes out and says, "Oh, I hate gay people." And Alice has already taken the video at the like secret party, and she gets Max to upload it to the internet, and it goes viral. And when they're doing the news report on it, the caster says it got 500,000 hits on YouTube. And I was like, okay, is that supposed to be a lot then? Okay, well, I mean, it is supposed to be a lot then, because YouTube wasn't used the way it is now, and just all these things, media, social media, and how we use the internet in general just was not anywhere close to the caliber that we are now. And even, when they talk about like podcasts and when they're interviewing Alice, the way they talk about these things, like you can tell they're new constructs, the way the guy's like referring to the internet and things, it's just funny. And because they're saying 500,000 views on YouTube, that's nothing. Like, I have 500,000 views on one video and I'm like a tiny YouTuber. I mean, even some videos I watch of like fat raccoons have more than 1 million views. So something like that now happening, if they set this guy up to be as if he's like one of the best, players in the NBA. If something like that happened now, it would literally be tens of millions and millions of views and shared across all these social media platforms, because previously something like that would just air on the news, and then not as many people were using social media or even YouTube. I mean, back in 2008, there was no Instagram, Twitter, all these things, or they weren't being mass used. Like when I had Facebook, I got Facebook, I think it was the very first year Facebook was out, and you had to have a university email address to use it. So it was a very, very small number of people that had it, and Facebook didn't even support things like that. You couldn't even like things or like share videos and things. You could put pictures up and tag people, but it was very, very elementary to what we have now and how we communicate now and share things. Because even looking at what Alice was working with, which was a Motorola Razr, which even the way, they obviously it was the show's footage that they used, but my sisters had Motorola Razrs. They were like a 2-pixel camera or something, I want to say. And yeah, even if you turn the internet on them, it would like start trying to and you'd have to like X out fast because it was like something ridiculous, like $5 a minute. But yeah, it was very, very simple. You wouldn't have been able to tell there was any people in that room in the Motorola Razr video. But just seeing now what we have with iPhones and all those things, you're constantly aware. And as I said in yesterday's video, things like those NDA parties, people you'd either have to turn in your phone, or they have these like clear sealable, this is what I'm talking about, why do I know this? They have these like clear sealable bags that when you put your phone in it, it like locks it and you can't get it out or turn it on or anything. And that there's no way they would allow people to have devices and things in there. And I remember back even in, I think it was 2009, I went to this like secret Britney Spears concert. It was when she just shaved her head, and she went to like these tiny little venues in the House of Blues that hold like 100 people, and she was performing. The tickets said like the M&Ms, like the candy, and I went with my ex-girlfriend and one of my friends, and we had to show that we didn't have cameras or cell phones or anything with us. So even then, that they were catching on that people were doing these sort of things, and you couldn't bring anything into the event. And after the party, we do have Tasha coming, and obviously saying, how could you do this? And when it comes to outing people like this, I mean, I think most people operate, especially media and people in public, operate under the guise that you do not publicly out anyone unless, and there's one specific circumstance where the person, usually a politician, is gay, but they are actively using their position, power, whatever it is, audience to hurt LGBTQ people. And this guy fell into that because he is a very public figure, clearly, and he is influencing millions of people to be anti-gay. And if it was, some politician, there's no rules then, because you are using your power and influence to cause harm against the LGBTQ community. And I would never, ever, ever publicly out someone. I talk about people on the channel who maybe they weren't out when the show came out, but they are now. And if I had any knowledge or signed any NDAs, I would never ever do what Alice did and take the video, but I kind of support what she did afterwards, like saying something about him. And it obviously helped that she had proof, but I would never ever ever do that unless it literally was someone like Mike Pence, who is out there saying terrible, hurtful things and causing actual harm. And it's like all these politicians with the feet under the bathrooms and things, like those are the people that deserve to be outed. I would never do anything like, you remember the trans guy Zeke that was on Survivor? I don't watch Survivor, but he was on an episode of the podcast To Ellen Back, and he's also in Disclosure, go check it out. And he seems like a really cool guy, and he was publicly outed in, I think he did 2 seasons of Survivor, and it was the second one. And someone like that should never happen. But if it's someone in a position of power and they are causing harm, that is the only circumstance where I wouldn't say it's acceptable, but I'd understand why. And I understand why Alice did what she did. And in the argument with Tasha, I do kind of side with Alice too, because Don't Ask, Don't Tell is bullshit. And Alice did not sign up for that. Like, I would find it very hard to date someone with the whole don't ask, don't tell thing. Thankfully, we don't have to think about that anymore. But it's like now, like I'm 34, and I could never date someone who was 22 and in the closet or something like that. Like 28 and above, please. I prefer middle-aged actresses, brunette middle-aged actresses. And yeah, it just must be really difficult in the situation that they're in. But obviously it's difficult for Tasha too. Like, this is the job, this is something she's chosen to do, something she's dedicated a lot of time, energy and life to. And they obviously love each other, but they are very, very different people and have a totally different set of priorities. So on to Bette and Tina in this episode. I'm going to start talking about them together again. And when the episode starts after the cold open, they run into each other at the planet and have this super awkward conversation. And I remember when I first watched this, the way that they were, kind of pushing each other away, I remember thinking like, oh no, like, are they just gonna have this be like a one-off thing? But when they had the conversation where, Bette walks out of the party and then they're like, oh, it's not gonna happen again, then I was like, oh, okay, we're on, it's definitely gonna happen again. And whenever Bette phones Tina with this flimsy excuse about Angie, which that is one thing I didn't really like so much, when they would like use Angie as a kind of way to like facilitate the cheating. It did. But anyway, so when they're having this phone call, I personally think it is just another example of the fact that Bette loves Tina more than Tina loves Bette. Bette needs Tina more than Tina needs Bette. And people from the outside, or maybe people who haven't really got deep into the show, maybe they've seen a few episodes, they'd probably look at it and say like, oh, Bette's this like alpha, in charge, powerful woman. And yes, that is the case, but most of the time those alpha women like that, their partner is the person that they lean on the most. And as we can see with the rest of the show, like season 6 especially, that Bette and Tina work the best when Bette lets herself be vulnerable in front of Tina and for Tina to be there for her. And this happens so many times, like if it was, apart from the situation with the carpenter, if it was up to Bette, she's always the one that's kind of waiting on Tina coming back. And we are in that position again in Generation Q, where Bette still deeply, deeply loves Tina, and it was Tina who left the marriage and has moved on to someone else. So I will definitely point things like this out more, but Bette is the one in the relationship, and Tina gave her the slightest hint that she was interested and wanted her back, and Bette came a-running. And even when, you know, she calls Tina on the phone and they're having this conversation that is just the flimsiest excuse, and then Bette is seeking her advice about the Jody thing, it's just more and more again of Bette can be strong because she has Tina, and like Tina is the real strength. So I just loved when the phone call was over and Laura Holloman's like face was like, what the hell was that? Just closest to phone. It was brilliant. When they have the scene in the party, when the actress comes over and is asking Bette about her whys, I mean, this bit I was like, why would Tina do this? Like, Tina is a producer, so Tina could have prevented this white casting of Bette, but I just don't ever think that Bette being a black woman like sits in the forefront of Tina's mind. And to kind of reference that also, the fact that when they're in the pool, and Laura Holloman killed it in these scenes when she's like, this used to be my pool, and things like that, and Shane's like, I used to fuck in this pool, like, it's brilliant. And then Bette, a black queer woman, phones the police in LA. Only on television, folks, because now, can you imagine if the police got there also and everyone's in her backyard? Just, no, that, yeah, how the tables have turned. And at the very end of the episode, we have Tina trying to phone a taxi, and Jody finds her and kind of tells her, you know, come on, you can sleep on the couch. And when Tina walks in, she like doesn't realize where she is at first, and then she like freaks out. She's like, no, I can't stay here, like, did you know I used to live here, to Jody. And Bette comes out and says that party was like the 9th circle of hell. Well, welcome, Bette, it's your own personal hell in here, because Jody, your current girlfriend, is looking after your ex-wife, who is super drunk and who got super drunk and high because you crushed her heart and you also kissed her last week. So Bette just cannot believe what she's seeing. I think at first she's like, this cannot be real, and I'm sure in that moment she's thinking, oh, like, obviously Tina's not the sort of person who like goes out and gets this trashed, and she's obviously hurting. And then Bette clearly wants Tina back and would want her to be nowhere else than in their house, but not in these circumstances. So we leave the episode just with Bette kind of walking back into the bedroom and closing the door, and I can assure you that Bette went to bed and did not get one more wink of sleep. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the party scene too. Not too much to say other than I absolutely loved it. I loved the music. I just love the way you can tell even in this that how well the cast get on, how it's very different from another show. Like Leisha and Kate are best friends in real life, and it just makes me feel so good watching this episode and the party scene. And I really, really enjoy this episode. I think it's really cool too when they're doing, you know, all the introductions and we're meeting who's playing who. And we are now at a third turn of meta, because I don't know whether everybody knows this or a few people do, but Eileen Chaikin, who is the series creator, writer, director, executive producer, she actually based the whole Marina and Jenny thing off something that happened in her real life, where an older lesbian took her in as she was in a young writer and they had an affair. So we had real life, and then we had the L Word's interpretation of it, and then now we have the film within the show's interpretation in it. So yeah, 3 turns of meta. There's a lot of stuff coming up that is the third turn of meta. Also, just wanted to point out for this episode, I've been meaning to do this anytime it happens, and the last time I just forgot, but the director and the writer of this episode was Angela Robinson, which is one of my favorite writer-director. I like a lot of the episodes she does. I think she's really, really talented. And if you haven't seen Professor Marsden and the Wonder Women, which is about the poly couple who created the Wonder Woman comics. The new Wonder Woman that I saw the other day, it even, it has his name in the credits, like Wonder Woman created by, and it is an excellent, excellent movie, Angela Robinson's movie. And also there's, 2 women, so hits a checkbox there. And also the wife in the creator, the main woman, she actually in the movie and in real life, her family is from the Isle of Man, and they actually give a call out to the Isle of Man in the movie, the Angela Robinsons, Professor Marston and the Wonder Woman. So there's a lot of references in there, but if you haven't seen it, it's a really, really good movie. So check it out if you have some time over Christmas. And that is pretty much it for this episode. Another excellent episode. Loved it from start to finish. So much good stuff. The only thing I would take out is the Max stuff. Again, go watch Disclosure. And I also am so looking forward to the second best episode of the L Word ever, Lights, Camera, Action. So can't wait to review that on Christmas Day, when I will also be announcing who has won the L Word goodie bag. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below, and you'll be entered. And also don't forget that on Christmas Eve, tomorrow, I will be launching my 2 L Word shirts for my merch store. And also we only have 2 days left, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, of our L Word Advent calendar. So please let me know down in the comment section if you've enjoyed it and if you would like to see it again. If you want to keep up with even more L Word content, go and follow me over on my social medias, because I am really, really close to 1,000 subscribers on Instagram. So really appreciate if you follow me over there. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great Christmas Eve, And I will see you all tomorrow for day 24 of the Elwood Advent Calendar. Have a great day, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye! Want to know everything that we know about season 2? Click this video. And want an in-depth review of who's been cast as Carrie in season 2? Click this video.